So, one of the questions that we ask is if you could converse with any early collie breeders, maybe somebody that you consider a mentor or somebody you wish you would have been able to talk to that you didn't get to spend time with, who would that be and what would that look like?
Well, I picked Steve Field. And the reason being is that it's fascinated me for so many years, having visited his kennel. Probably, I can't remember exactly when, but it would have been maybe 68 or 69. We drove to Nebraska from Montana. And I purchased Prater's Luck of Loch Laren, and that was a sable soldier, champion Prater sable soldier daughter. And Steve Field was a principal of a school, and he lived on a farm. And you walked in, and he had multiple pens filled with dogs. He had a pen with 8-month-old puppies, and he had a pen with 6-month-old puppies, and a pen with 8-week-old puppies, and he had this huge barn, and we went up in it, and he must have had 30 bitches that all came and greeted us. That was the secret. Every one of them was as sweet as they could be, and they came up and greeted us and talked to us and everything. He had another 4 or 5 stud dogs in another building, and he said, those are the dogs that if just a pet collie comes and wants to be bred, I'll use those dogs on them. And I mean, my eyes were just like saucers. He walked up to this little, it was just a little log cabin about, it was probably maybe 8 by 8, out in the middle of kind of a field, and a couple of windows in it. And he opened the door and he said, I'd like you to meet Reflection. That was Champion Prater's Reflection. And out he came, and I got to hug him and say, Champion Prater's country squire had recently died, I mean within the last year or two, because I was hoping to see him. And of course Golden Image was gone, all his great ones. But Steve Field was very soft-spoken and very much a gentleman, and I think his dogs showed that. It was an interesting visit. He would be very warm, and we would be having a wonderful conversation. This happened 2 or 3 times, and then he'd say, well, I'll be back, and he'd disappear. And finally, and then my husband and I would get a little, well, maybe we should be leaving, but I didn't have my puppy yet. He hadn't even shown me my puppy. And then all of a sudden he'd show up again. And well, come on in, have a cup of coffee. And it was a very interesting visit. We spent pretty much all day there, going back and forth like this. And then he took me out to this pen that they were probably all about 12 to 14 weeks, and I think there were maybe 5 or 6 puppies in the pen. And he reached down and he threw a puppy in my arms and said, this is yours. That was it. And we said, yes, sir. And I think she was $250 or something. He wrote a check and left.
It seems like a lot of money for 1968 or 9.
Well, it was a lot of money.
And
to drive all that way, and yeah.
Was that typical for dogs that were going?
Well,
at that
we
time?
usually sold our puppies for at least 100, maybe 150.
So this was twice and a half again as much.
Yeah. She was a show dog, and after telling you all about their temperament, I'll have to tell you what we named her. We named her Panic. Because obviously she had not been anywhere. And we were driving about a 2-day travel, and things did upset her. So it was an appropriate name, but she ended up having a wonderful temperament. She was never much of a show dog. she didn't have that early training, I guess, with the ears and stuff. But she did produce very pretty nicely for us. And Lip Creek also had either dogs that really showed well or didn't as much. And I remember when I finally got some Briar Hill dogs, you knew they were going to show. And that to me was wonderful because they just had that instinct and plant those feet and use themselves. What I would ask Steve Field is, how did you do it with those tremendous? I really have no idea how many dogs he had because they were in little parcels here and there. But I think I would like to sit down and ask how did he raise his puppies? And I may have been very disappointed, and maybe that temperament was so ingrained in them, and it was and is a beautiful temperament.
It is. It changed a lot of dogs, a lot of kennels.
It did. Yeah. So I guess I would just be curious in how he did.